we say good morning to Bev? Bev, are you
Yes.
with us?
Good morning.
Yeah, so great to have a chat with you this morning, and hopefully people will send us in some questions and also share with us some of the things that they've been doing in lockdown. But I think before we get started, could you just briefly tell everybody a little bit? We know you as the founder of the Lash design company, but of course you've had a beauty business for many, many years. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, certainly. Well, I'll probably admit to about 35 years of being a salon owner, and it's been amazing how sort of the beauty industry has evolved from when I first started. But I think nothing has ever been as different as what we're going through at the moment. And I share, even after 35 years, everybody's anxiety about going back to work and how to put things together the best way for ourselves and for our customers. So apart from running a salon and looking after the staff, I'm also here at the Lash design company, making sure we've got strategies in place for all of our lovely customers.
And Bev, you have your beauty salon that's in Essex, but you also have the Beauty Lash Bar in central London as well.
Yes.
So I guess the challenges are different depending on location as well. You know, there are different things that we need to think about depending on whether you're a mobile therapist or depending on where your salon is situated.
Yes, and I don't think one size will ever fit all. Salons, even salons, are completely different. Like, for example, our salon in central London is spacious, but only spacious inside. And there's also some sort of areas where there's some quite close contact, where my salon in Essex is very bright, very airy, and it's got a big place outside where we can sit. So I think it's looking at what you've got and making sure that you make the most of it in the safest way.
Yeah, and we'll get on to talk about that in a few minutes in a little bit more detail about some of the things that we can do. But tell us a little bit about during lockdown, what things you've been doing with your business, given all the restrictions, and have there been any learnings, things that you will now adapt into your business that perhaps you were doing before?
Yes, certainly. I mean, to begin with, the 23rd of March, it was down tools and walking out of the door. And I think one of the main things is we had to go back in when it's empty and have a look and see where we could change things. We've made sure that we've connected with our customers on social media because immediately they're wondering what's going on. And so changing that to a more information-based rollout scheme rather than just pinpointing special offers and treatments, which is obviously we can't do that now. So people are obviously thinking about how they can return to the salon and what we as an individual business can offer them by way of treatments and by way of security for themselves and their family.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, it's been an opportunity while we've been in lockdown, whether we're at home or working, an opportunity to do some positive, proactive things that perhaps we don't always have the time for. So we talk about an opportunity, and instead of, you know, when we're working in the business, we're so busy running and doing the business, but this is an opportunity to sort of be working on the business. So, you've adapted differently.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, we've been looking at extra training that we can give our staff. So we have launched a big online learning platform at the Lash design company, and many of our staff have gone onto it, where they've perhaps concentrated more on lashes, and therefore they've been able to do the brow unit as part of like homework and just to keep themselves occupied. So online learning has been one thing, and also making sure that the communication we do on social is advanced enough so that we can take it through into when we are open. So we get more followers and doing things a little bit more off the cuff, some fun things, which I think we focused a lot before lockdown on business, you know, trying to get people to like spend more money, but perhaps they don't know so much about us as a business or you as a mobile therapist, you know, who are you? You know, what do you like to do when you're not doing treatments? And it makes a really good connection with the customer, so they feel much more comfortable coming back to you if they know more about you.
And I think that's a really important thing, because we've heard everyone talking about kindness, and I'm a great believer in that. I think that when this is all done and dusted, people are going to remember people that were kind to them and keep in touch. So I think, as we all know, in the beauty industry, we have lovely relationships with our clients. Often they become more like friends than a sort of business relationship. So I think keeping in touch with people, and people will then remember that and want to come back and see you.
I think what you just said there about people who treat you as friends is fantastic. But I think, you know, we're going to be talking a little bit later about how you're going to roll out treatments. And I think that friendship is going to be not the friendship challenge, but the intimacy is going to be challenged, because customers want to give you a hug and they feel like they're your friend. And of course, we're going to have to, as therapists and as professionals, actually put a guard up. And that's not natural really for us, because we're always, you know, we're a warm society. We very much want.
Well, touch is a big part of what we do in beauty, isn't it? So for sure. But tell us a little bit. You know, it looks as if beauty salons are not going to be allowed to open until early July. That still seems to be the government guidance. I know things are changing daily, but for now we have to go with what we know. So what advice can you give to people? Because we've still got a month to go. So if you're a beauty therapist, a mobile therapist, a beauty salon owner, what would you say about this next month, about getting ready?
Well, I think preparing your client for what's going to happen, and not even necessarily securing appointments, just contacting them and saying, like, I'm getting ready and these are the things that are going to have to change. So I thought long and hard about, you know, we have so many mobile technicians, and that's really difficult for them because they're going from one house to another. You know, maybe giving people heads up that they're going to have to wear a mask, because just turning up for the appointment and then giving a mask could be quite intimidating and quite scary. And I think giving your client a heads up on what's going to be happening and what is the new, then you don't have to do all of that all in the same day. You can say, right, you know, when I do come back, I'm going to be wearing a visor, or I'm going to be wearing a mask. I need you to wear a mask, and, you know, just talk the treatment through. I think if you can think the best ways of doing that, that's going to be exactly in relation to your own business, then when you do contact your clients, which you should do quite quickly, should we have a chat about a catch up on how things are going to roll out in July?
Well, I think like the message here is that communication is key. And if we take that to the next level, it's almost like, don't stop marketing your business. That while we are in lockdown, take advantage of this time to get your business ready for the next phase, for this new normal. And the communication, whichever way you want to do it, you know, with being in lockdown, we've all learned a lot more. Certainly I have, about technology. I mean, here we are all talking on a Zoom call, and Zoom has become an everyday day of life now, which, you know, certainly a few months ago was very much just business orientated. So there's so many different tools. So I think, you know, if you can email clients, you can text them, you can phone them, you can do WhatsApp. Technology is available to us to keep in touch.
There's loads of platforms, loads of ways, and communicate in the way that you're most comfortable. Because some people, you know, Zoom is fine for you, but maybe the customer doesn't have Zoom or finds that quite a challenge. So even reverting back to the old-fashioned pick the phone up, whatever suits you, and bearing in mind that every client, I know for sure, some of our clients, they don't even have Facebook, or they're not on the internet. You know, they're probably elderly, but still enjoy treatments, but they're not going to relish with trying to like get online to like communicate with you. They want a phone call, so, or even just drop a note through their letterbox.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I mean, we're going to talk now a little bit about once you go back to work, and about hygiene, because that's obviously going to be critical. So we're going to share with you some of the things that we're doing. But before we look at that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. You know, what we are hearing is that because of social distancing measures, it does mean that probably our capacity for the number of treatments each day is going to be greatly reduced. And that's obviously going to reduce income. And I'm sure that's a concern for many of us, like how many treatments can we do in a day? What impact? I still have wages to pay, I still have rent to pay. What effect?
We've got retail, which we've got some really exciting news about.
Yeah, so I wanted to, because, you know, I think I've worked in the beauty salon for beauty business for many years. I've had my own beauty salon. And I think, just generally speaking, as therapists, sometimes we're not good as jumping on these retail opportunities as we should be. And the whole retail world has moved to online. People who never shopped online are shopping online. And I think there's an opportunity for us as professionals to exert our expertise and recommend products more. So we wanted to talk to you about, if you haven't already started retailing more products, how could you go about this?
Well, I think retail has always been a bit of a sticking point for beauty therapists. You either don't have the time, or you feel it's uncomfortable selling somebody something where you've just spent 2 hours quite intimately with them. And so the fact that retail is the one thing that you can do to prop up your cash flow. But we have identified that buying products and having them sitting on your shelf is tying up cash that at the moment we need to hold on to as much as possible. So we've been looking at ways where we can have some kind of retail partnership with our customers, so that you can recommend a product and then they go online and buy it with a code, and you would automatically get a commission on that. And the commission we are giving is 25%. Which is amazing. It means you've got no you've got no cash outlay. You can recommend, you can have just one of each product on your shelf to show, and then the client can go away, either buy it, perhaps if you've got the facility in a salon, to buy it on an iPad, or she can go home and go online, buy it through your Beauty Hive, which is our retail outlet platform and website, and then she will receive the product direct from our warehouse, and you will receive 25% commission. So it's a win-win for everybody.
I think it's really great. I'm excited by this because as you said, it means that you don't have to lay out the extra money, but you can be offering a service and use the technology that you're familiar with. Like, I think everybody's using WhatsApp. You can take photographs of products and share it to your customers and say, you know, give advice, be the expert. So this is an eyebrow pencil I'd recommend for you. Here's a mascara. Or while you're in lockdown, you can't have lashes, but I can supply you with this. And send some photographs.
We do have a whole library of images and also some videos of using our products. So we will be able to share that with our customers so that they can have perhaps an iPad at their reception desk or on their phone, so they can show the product and they can show how it's used. And it's just very much the same as picking it off the shelf and showing it, but it means that you don't have to hold the stock. And then the client can get excited about that. You give them the code and they go onto your Beauty Hive. So we have all these tools to help you sell, which I think we all need a little bit of help to sell. Some people are more better at it than others, but every business needs to sell now, because as you say, we're diminishing the amount of face-to-face treatments because of social distancing, and therefore we need to prop up our income with some retail sales.
Yeah, I think it's super. But the other thing that I would urge everyone is that, you know, some people might not want to come back into the beauty salon for varying reasons. They might not have the confidence, they might have some ill health, but they still want to look glam. We all feel better if we do something positive for ourselves. So putting together little retail bundles, helping your customer, you know, look great. As I keep saying, be the expert for her. For example, my local hairdresser during lockdown put home dye, so you could still have a professional hair dye, and then he allowed people to pick them up from his salon doorstep, or he was able to deliver on doorsteps. And I think little things like that, putting together bundles of retail products that you can drop off or people can collect. If they don't want to have that close contact, they can still get their eyelashes and their brows done, or it might be other treatments that you want to offer them. But
Yeah,
it's there for you to
when you're looking at brows and lashes. It's brows are definitely better to do yourself than lashes. But some people may think, okay, I'm going to start using magnetic lashes to glam myself until I feel comfortable to coming back into a salon or have a face-to-face treatment done. So we've got tutorials and that we can send over to people when they purchase products. And there are linked products with, say, for example, magnetic lashes. People would use some black mascara or the growth and conditioning serum, and all those kind of things can be used at home. And we found a huge upturn in those kind of products in retail for sure during lockdown.
We're getting quite a few messages, people, you know, giving the thumbs up for this, which is great. So watch out for a newsletter from us, because we will be writing to you, telling you more about how the systems go, this partnership will work.
Yes, it will be, we'll send it out to all of our Lash Perfect customers, and the subject line will be retail partnership. So if you look out for that, that will specify, lay it out quite clearly on how you can engage in this program, and then we can work together. And really it is a partnership. You know, we want to sell to you and you want to sell to your customers, and this is just the best way.
Yeah, so I think that's a great, and as we keep saying, it's a great way of helping to recover some of that lost income while we can't do many treatments. So let's just sort of move forward a little bit and think about, you know, the challenges that we're all going to face in the next few months. Obviously, advice is changing daily, so we don't know exactly, but we do know that social distancing is going to take place and hygiene is going to be of the utmost importance. So what are your thoughts on that, Bev? And can you give some advice on, you know, the protective gear and what you think people should be wearing?
Well, we don't have any black and white guidelines from the government at the moment on what is expected. Nothing that's really, apart from the fact that we have to socially distance as much as possible. But we all know that we're in the industry where social distancing just isn't possible. So the first thing is your client will need to wear her own mask. Now, if you want to provide that, I recommend you do, because if she comes in wearing a mask, you're not too sure how long she's had that mask on. It could be one that she's used a couple of times. So we would just be having at reception just a normal 3-ply mask, and it has to be one that's got a little strip at the top where you can mould the mask around your nose, so that it stops any breath coming up over the top. So that's the mask that we recommend that you give to your client. Now, we do understand that some people could find that quite intimidating, but I think if you start as you mean to go on, you can be firm, you can make it a laugh, you can do whichever angle you want, but it has to be done, and it's for the safety of themselves, and more importantly, for the client wearing a mask, it's for your safety too. So we have that. We also have, which is my absolute favourite thing for technicians, is the visor. Okay, so this visor has got some glasses frames, but no lenses. So I'm wearing glasses now, and that sits directly over the top of my own glasses. And it's so great. So I can talk to my client, she can see my face, she can see me smiling most of the time anyway. And you feel protected. You can also wear a mask with this as well. But the visor, it protects your nose and your eyes, and you can use it with glasses. What we're doing at Lash Perfect is we're branding them Lash Perfect, so that's great. But if you want to, for all of you that have got your own business, if you want us to brand with your own business, we're doing that as well. So that's really great. In fact, some salons are putting names on so that everybody has their own, which I think is a great idea. And you can those with, we've got this sort of sanitizing spray, which is an alcohol spray. It's very fine mist, and it can be used on hard surfaces and materials. So that's very good. And then finally, we've got a normal sponge visor. Again, there we are. That's branded Lash Perfect. And again, we can brand that for people's businesses as well. Normal things, hand sanitizers, antibacterial foaming hand cleanser, all these should be readily available either wherever you're working. If you're mobile, you must use these. You should have a couple of these, one in your bag for when you sanitize your hands at your client's house, but you should have one in your car, so that when you go back into your car, you sanitize your hands to make sure that you are ready for your next customer.
Well, somebody's asking, can you see clearly through the eyes to do lashes?
Absolutely.
Yes,
It's really transparent. Look, if I put it, that's in front of the camera. So you can see how clear it is. Yeah.
And then what about gloves, Bev? What do you think about?
Yeah, gloves all the time. There are some treatments that are more difficult than others to perform with gloves on, but I think it's a case of adapting. I don't think it's really an option. There are maybe when you're doing facial treatments and body treatments, that's something that your skin or a body care specialist, the company that you buy your products from, will be able to recommend the best way about that. But as far as doing nails are concerned and lashes, I think gloves all the way. However, they are only a second skin, so they too can have contamination on them. So in some ways, if you need to take them off, as long as you've got really clean hands, that is just as good. But I think guidelines probably from the government will have gloves in the remit.
Yeah. And I think, and then obviously, you know, we're going to be using a lot more disposable, which is disposables. It's a challenge because obviously we've all been so very good thinking about the environment and trying to reuse things more. But I think in this respect, we're going to have to, hygiene is going to be the #1 priority.
Yeah, I think this situation has hijacked the reusable, which is insane. But you know, going forward, I'm sure we'll rescue it back. But at the moment, I think towels, any towels, I think stop using towels, because they need to be washed. They need to be washed at 60 degrees, and you cannot reuse them. So for mobile therapists, if you've got 6 customers, you're going to need to take 6 towels, take them home. Do you want to take them home to launder? Probably not. You'd be better off to use couch roll or reusable tissue and leave the used products in the customer's home for her to dispose of in the home. Don't take them with you and unless of course you've got a bag, a clinical waste bag that you can put them in. Put that bag in the boot of your car. Don't contaminate your car. Leave the boot of your car as the place where you put your products, and you can work from that, so that you've always got you know, your own safety, and you're not going to be cross-contaminating. So my advice is tissues all the way.
So do you think, Bev, that it's going to be like disposable couch covers, or?
Yeah, I think what I've done is we've got alcohol spray. So it'll be, you know, couches are made of wipeable material, and I would just say don't use anything. Just spray the couch and wipe it down. If you want to put couch roll on the header, that's fine. But of course, that will just be put into the bin. And then I would still say between every client, you literally wipe down the whole couch.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, as we keep saying, there's going to be learnings all the time, and there'll be different things that we come up across.
Yeah.
We just have to be adaptable, but be really mindful of, you know,
I think we're all sensible people, and I think if it feels wrong, it probably is. And so go with your own instinct and be firm with your customers. Make sure they understand that asking them to wear a mask, asking them to sanitize their hands is for their safety as well as your own. And if you start as you mean to go on, and approach it in the best way that you can, even if you make fun, have a little bit of a laugh about it, or just have a sign up in the salon to say this is what we're going to be doing. Texting clients, if you're mobile, text them and say, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I'll have my mask ready if you don't mind wearing it, so that she's got a heads up, so you're not having to put all this security in place on the day of the appointment.
I think that's a really great point, and it's something I was just going to mention, that people will want to hear from you what your hygiene protocol is, what you're going to be adapting to. So I think, as Bev said, letting your clients know this is what's going to happen when you come for a treatment. When I come and visit you, I will be wearing a mask, revise, I will be using gloves, I will have hand sanitizer, because hygiene and your safety is my number one priority.
It's reassurance, definitely.
Exactly.
And I think so. Everybody has a different angle, and you'll find some people will find it will be quite nervous at coming back to having treatments done, and other people could be quite flippant about it. And I think if you stick to your guns, keep your professional hat on, and those people that say, and you will get them, oh, I'm not worrying about that. Well, unfortunately, you know, we are, and
yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, but I really need you to do that.
And I think you can just say, I have to follow the guidelines.
Yes.
You know, the government has put guidelines out there, not specifically for beauty salons, but for close contact and so on. Now, undoubtedly, there's going to be a little bit of extra cost involved for everyone, because there's the cost of the masks and all these extra bits and pieces. I do know that some businesses are charging a little bit more on top of their treatments to cover the cost. Would you say, Bev, that that's just something you have to really work out for yourself, what's right for your business?
I think it's exactly that. You have to work out what's right for your business, and it is an extra cost. But I think that maybe initially you have to make a call on it and stick with it. Some businesses will feel that it's a normal thing to charge an extra few pounds for PPE, but it's going to be a bit of a free-for-all. Everyone's going to be looking to have a treatment done, and if their salon is charging an extra £5 for something, for face masks and PPE, you could end up losing them for that. So I think it's a call you have to make yourself. I think PPE at the moment is quite expensive, and that's because there's a high demand. But once the factories get up to speed with the amount of production, the cost will come down, and it will come down to probably pennies as opposed to pounds.
I've spoken to a number of different businesses, and it's so mixed. Like, some people are definitely charging, you know, adding £2 or £3. Other people are not. So I think, yeah, as you said, the advice is that, you know, do what feels right. A lot of it might depend on what your prices are already. It might be that you're running your prices very low anyway, and you just can't absorb this extra cost.
I think the other thing is, there are areas where you won't be spending money. For example, you won't be laundering anymore. That's quite a costly expense for businesses. You won't be offering teas and coffees anymore. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So there are some other things that, so they sort of balance out.
We're not buying any more magazines to have in reception.
Any more magazines. Salon leaflets are going to be more online. We'll be able to, what we are doing is we're offering our customers an opportunity to download the aftercare leaflets, and so they can email them to the customer. So if they do a treatment, instead of handing them an aftercare leaflet for them to take home and read, we'll be able to pop them over the aftercare on an email. So that all those kind of expenses will not be there anymore. Everything will be paper.
So maybe it will all balance out. We're going to take some questions in a moment, because I'm just going to finish off by saying that, you know, I want to share with you some news, some really positive news, because I'm forever researching and seeing what other countries are doing and trends. And there's been lots of really positive stories. I'm sure some of you have seen it on social media, where people can't wait to get back to their beauty salon. And a big recent survey that was done, it was actually done in the US and in Europe, and 88% of people said that they are longing to have a beauty salon. They can't wait to get back to their beauty salon. So I think, you know, that while we're all cautious and perhaps a little bit anxious about what might happen, we know that our clients really want to see us. People can't wait to have their beauty treatments again. So we just need to find this new way of working. So before we go to your questions, I want to ask Bev, what do you think are going to be the most popular treatments when people first go back?
Well, I think, like everything, you want instant results. We've waited too long to be beautiful. Yeah. We've all been doing our own things. There's going to be definitely lashes. and definitely brows, because brows have not stopped growing during lockdown. So everybody wants to get their brows styled. I want to get their lashes, get a glamorous look back on. And also they want advice on their skin. You know, their skin may be parched and dry. And we've had some fantastic weather during lockdown, but as we all know, the sun isn't the best friend of the skin. So people will be wanting advice and things like that. So anything that they can probably prop up their salon treatment at home, growth and conditioning serums that go alongside lash treatments, that kind of thing. I think they'll be really popular. And nails, you don't forget nails. Everybody wants their nails.
I was just going to say, one of the reports that I know from Spain, because Spain, of course, has been ahead of ours. They started before us, went into lockdown, and they've been back to work for a couple of weeks. And the most popular treatments have been eyelash extensions, waxing, and nails.
Yeah.
So I think there's
music right there is it not?
Yeah, exactly. Instant feel goods that we're going to feel better. It might take a little bit longer to recover, like facials and body treatments, just because they're not a priority. I think people will be having solution-based treatments first of all, and things that make them feel good. So that's really positive, and I think for everyone, you know, be positive, because it will come back. So so thanks for joining us. Before we go, I know I'm going to call Natalie in to read out some of the questions. Some of them we've answered, but I know there's been a few that have come in, so it'd be really good just to reiterate some of those points that everybody's made. So Nat, could I just ask you to?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Corinne, and thank you, Beverly. So we've got a couple of questions. So Rachel's asking about, do you just wipe down the visor with the sanitizer in between clients? So how can you make sure that that's really clean?
Yes, exactly that. You can either you wipe it down with it has to be over 60% alcohol, Hannah. So you'll be either using a wipe or the spray that I told you about, which is 70%, or you can have some alcohol spray, anything like that, and you just spray it, wipe it with a tissue, and it comes back as being nice and clear and clean.
And I should imagine as well, it's really important if you're in a salon with therapists, that if you have multiple visors, you make sure that you just keep it for that therapist, so you're not swapping visors in between.
Yeah, which is what I was saying about people putting names on them. So you can either, your therapist must keep her own visor, so it would be a good idea for her to mark it in some way that it's hers, or put it in a little bag that's got her name on it, and she keeps it there and brings it out as and when she needs it.
That's a great idea. We have a question from Stephanie, who's saying, how can we make the couch comfortable for the client, or is it now just a case that they will have to use a transportable couch? So I suppose that's sort of, if you can't use blankets and pillows and things, what's the best way to make sure that the client is comfortable?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's difficult, isn't it? Because I mean, there's no law that you can't use towels or anything else, but it's just the laundry of them, and which is difficult. I would say that for the time being, you tell the client that we're taking the soft furnishings off of couches for hygiene reasons, and then once we start going into facials and body treatments, then you can start looking at a way of laundering soft furnishings, so that you can ensure that it's safe. But as far as lash treatments are concerned and brow treatments, nails, then I would say definitely no towels. And from the couch point of view, she will lay on a normal couch with no covering.
Okay, great. So Stephanie's actually also asked, if you're doing one client for nails, lashes, brows, and a bikini wax, for example, would that require 4 separate sets of gloves? And I suppose the bikini wax would definitely be, because that's...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think all of them will mean you'll have some kind of residue on the glove, and I would say yes. However, as I said, disposable gloves are a second skin. You can wash your hands, you can wash your gloves and sanitize them. So there is that option to do that. But I would say that waxing for certain, because that will be covered in wax. You can probably put together lashes and brows with one set of gloves, but then nails itself, you'll probably find that you'll need a fresh set, because the chemicals and the dust that goes onto gloves, you wouldn't want to transfer over to the eyes.
No, that's true. We've also had another question, which is also from Stephanie, just to say, do you believe that the government will actually give our industry official advice, or will we be left to make our own common sense rules? So I suppose that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It is. I'd like to think so, Stephanie, but I think that because other businesses have opened ahead of us, I think we've been able to gauge what the government is thinking. Social distancing is the thing they want to adhere to, but we can't do that. So if it's possible to put any kind of barrier using portable visors or anything that will give you an extra layer of protection, then I'd say use your own initiative and put something in place. That's the best advice I can give. We can't do our treatment at distance, it's impossible. So we have to put in these sort of visors, masks, and extra layer of security where we can feasibly do it for the treatment.
Okay.
I was just going to add, Natalie, that one of the things we haven't mentioned, but obviously with reception area, because of social distancing, we won't be able to have people waiting in reception. So I know I've heard of some businesses, and I think, Bev, you're doing this, where some people will need to wait in their cars and be called in for their appointment.
Yes.
So we can't have people hanging about in a small area.
No, that's right. So I think that first of all, if you allow a gap between appointments, then you run the less risk of people meeting each other in reception. Asking people to turn up on time, and then also looking at areas where you can utilise in a salon as an alternative waiting area, maybe a cubicle, so you can escort somebody that's early and still waiting for treatment through to a cubicle and let them wait there rather than muster in the reception area. If you have an outside space, use it for sure, because we've got the whole summer ahead of us. It's not particularly cold. It's been amazing, hasn't it? And I think to have an area where people can sit comfortably and it's fresh air, we all know the fresh air is better for us. So definitely use it if you can. Something for mobile therapists, I think what you need to do is you need to call when you arrive, when you pull up outside the house, call them and tell them you're on your way, so they can open the door and you can walk straight in. And if you are a home-based therapist, I've put quite a lot of thought into this. I think your customer needs to text you when she's outside your home, and you make sure you're the person that opens the door and escorts them to the treatment area, because you could have your husband, your partner, your children all in the home. You don't want them answering the door to your customers. So let them tell you when they're outside. You open the door, hand them a mask, escort them to the treatment area, do the treatment, and then escort them back out of the house, so that you and limit the use of bathroom as much as possible, so that you have controlled the transition of that customer within your home environment.
Yeah, and talking of bathrooms, obviously disposable towels in the bathroom, not having any soft furnishings around, as we were saying.
I actually have a question, which is my own question. I know that obviously when we go back to work as normal, everyone's going to be itching to get their treatments done. But I suppose I've had this happen before, where people come into their treatment and you actually suspect they might be unwell themselves. So what would you suggest we do if somebody comes in and you think they, perhaps don't look that well? It's a bit of an awkward thing to sort of say. What would you recommend that we do?
Well, we've actually got temperature gadgets, guns, and not really guns, but the kind of temperature control instrument in reception. We will be taking people's temperature, and we will also be asking them to let us know if they're unwell.
Yeah.
Now I know what Natalie's thinking about. There are some people who say, no, I'm fine, because actually the desire to have their treatment done overrides the fact that they could be spreading COVID-19. And I think you have, as I've said earlier, if it feels wrong, it normally is. In which case, if you think your client seems unwell, you could ask her politely to reschedule another time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've gone through as a country and as a world too much to not be able to face this kind of question head on.
Maybe also, Bev, you could put this into your instructions.
What we've got is like a little it's not paper, it's on an iPad, where it's like an agreement. So I agree that I have not been in contact with anybody with COVID-19. I agree that I'm feeling well. I agree that if I don't feel well, I will tell you immediately.
Exactly. So I think, again, that communication of saying to people, this is what I'm going to be doing. And you could even maybe soften it, because it is a difficult situation, but maybe you could say, if I'm feeling unwell, I will cancel your appointment. And please, if you are not feeling well, let me know and we will reschedule another time. So it's for both parties.
Yeah, we've looked at writing almost like a therapist customer agreement, and that would be part of it. I agree that I will not come into work or perform treatments on you if I don't feel well, and vice versa. So it can be worded very gently, but be quite. You have to be quite severe in executing it if that's what you're putting. Could be prepared to say to somebody, I can't do your treatment because you don't seem very well. As I say, the temperature control is a really good indicator, and that's black and white. If she has a temperature, then it's non-negotiable. What we've done is we've got this little agreement on that we can email out to all of our customers. We put it on an iPad, and they can sign it on the iPad, and then you wipe the iPad over. So she has agreed to the terms, understands the terms, and you've got that saved as a document in your inbox, in your files.
And you can also email that and get people to send it back. Which is a legal document as well, to say that they agree, they understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And people want different levels of security. Some people definitely want that, and other people will find that quite scary. So I think it's a case of preempting that. So I'm going to be sending you something, and it's a document that is a small agreement between the two of us, so that to keep us safe. It just softens it. So when it does arrive, it's not like really scary.
Yeah. Actually, I've just got one more question, Bev, that I've thought about. What about for uniforms and wearing disposable aprons on top? Because I know that's been recommended for certain health clinics, wellness clinics that are starting to open.
Yes, definitely. Well, you can buy disposable capes for the customer. So that covers the whole of the body, the whole of the clothing. And as we know, it can manifest on soft furnishings as well. So it would be on tunics. You can wear an apron, but of course you've got other areas on the shape.
It's not ideal, but
so the guideline, well, our recommendation says you definitely don't wear anything long sleeved, so that you don't pick up anything on your forearm, or a cardigan, for example, would definitely not be something you would want to wear, because when you wash your hands, you can also wash up to your elbows, a bit like a surgeon would. So you clean everything. And then look for things that you can do to help sanitize soft furnishings, which I know this isn't our product actually, but it's amazing. We do sell it, and it's a sanitizing spray for soft furnishings and material. So you could actually spray down your tunic between clients, which I think is amazing. I definitely make sure that the girls or yourself, you have a clean tunic every day. I'm sure most people do, but it's just worth saying, because if you are a mobile therapist and you've only done one customer, it does seem a bit of an overkill to then have to wear another one. But if you get into that habit, I think it's again down to limitation.
And maybe just like the disposable apron on top, while it's not ideal.
Aprons, absolutely.
It's a little bit more protection, and it's also reassuring for clients.
More reassuring for the client,
yeah. Especially if you think like the head, if somebody's on a bed, that could be touching your sort of midriff. That is quite good to protect that way.
Yeah, definitely an apron, and definitely no sleeves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, super. And Nat, have we got any more questions from anyone?
There was one just asking where customers can buy PPE from, which obviously we've kind of covered, because Lash Perfect has a wide range. So
I think we'll definitely be selling the masks and the visors in the salon, because I think people don't know where to get them from. All they can do is buy them from places where you're not sure whether the standard is right. So I think having little packs, it's another retail outlet for you, is to offer the mask, because there's the other mask, there's the what they call, you've probably seen it, KN95. So that's been in the news lately, because some of them are fake, which is, and they're not doing the job. But our ones have got these metal clips along, which make sure you mould it around your nose. So having those kind of things for clients to buy, because while they're sitting with you, they might be thinking, well, actually, I could do with one of these for around the supermarket, or when I go and see my friend, somewhere to buy them in small quantities, because we can all buy 50 from like these big companies, but you don't always want 50.
So if you don't have the information, please message us, or we'll be sending out another newsletter anyway, reminding everyone the PPE that we have available. And also look out, as we keep saying, for the retail opportunity. Look for the email with the retail partnership, so that you can be recommending products to your customers, and you will get a 25% commission on that sale as well. So it saves you having to outlay. So a few little strategies there to help you with your business. And as always, feel free to contact us through any of our email or on social media if you have any questions, and we will address them. But I think, the key message from this is that it's a little bit scary, but there's lots of things to be positive about. We will get there. It's just going to be a little bit of a slow return. And
also, we're at the end of the phone. That's what's most important. If you're unsure on how to go about something, or you just want some reassurance, then there's a wealth of information with all the staff we have here that can give you the, even if it's not guidance, we just can be a sounding block for you.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, as we've said right at the beginning, the number one tip here is, communicate with your customers, let them know that you're there as an expert to help them use the tools you're familiar with, WhatsApp, texting, phone calls, whatever's easier, and be there and help them with their beauty solutions. And that's the best way for you to keep front of mind for when they're ready to come back into the salon, or back, having beauty treatments.
And think about now as the time to do it. Now is exactly the time, because we're only 4 weeks away. So it will be great for people to start thinking that there is light at the end of the tunnel for them, and to pick the phone up, book them in, and then start communicating about the security element.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Oh, yes. So Lorraine is just saying that if we get any guidance from the government, will you filter it down to us? Yeah. Absolutely. When things change, we'll be the first to let you know. Bev is all over looking at. We've had guidelines from Sedesco and from some of Babtech and some of the other beauty certifying companies. It's all quite similar at the moment, and it is, of course, their guidance rather than government, you must do this. So we've taken all that on board, and that's where we've come together with this advice for you, and we will keep you updated as we hear more.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thanks so much everyone for joining us and for all your questions. Good luck, and we're getting through this together.
We will.
Yeah, okay, see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.